Today we have a General Electric washing machine. The complaint is that the unit will fill up and then it does nothing. Doesn't agitate, doesn't spin. You can manually advance it into drain, but it will not actually spin the motor. So what we will do is we will turn the washing machine on to fill it. And it does have some water in there. Now what I'm going to do too is I'm going to remove the front panel. To do so, use your putty knife to lock underneath. Move it aside. While this is filling, I will need to remove the 4 top screws to gain access to the console portion. Set those aside, wait for it to fill up. Okay, so the unit has reached the proper water level, but nothing is happening. So underneath here we have a couple of components. First of all, we have the motor capacitor. Now if I'm using my non-contact voltage detector, I have nothing coming to my motor capacitor, as well as no power coming to the motor. So next thing I have done is you have a couple of components up here. First of all, we have a lid switch on here. Now this is a 2-wire lid switch. So whenever I am diagnosing, obviously a lid switch can cause it to not go into spin, not agitate, etc. So I did bypass the lid switch with just cutting the wires off, wiring them together. This will indicate the lid switch is good because it still is not doing anything. I've also taken the pressure tube off. This pressure tube goes to the bottom of the drum, blew through it, and when you blow through it, to make sure there's nothing obstructing. Now generally speaking, if there is a problem with the actual pressure tube, it will either overflow, or as soon as you turn it on, it'll start going right into agitate or right into spin. This right here is not a typical trait of a bad pressure tube, but it is a typical trait of a bad pressure switch. So today we're going to change out the pressure switch itself. Now first we'll unplug the unit. The pressure switch has a couple of wiring harnesses you will have to take off. Sometimes these can be rather stubborn, so if you need to, use a tack puller to pull it off of there. We will have to remove the pressure hose. So remove the pressure hose. Once again, you can blow through it again. We are clear. Next, to remove your pressure switch, we will remove the knob, pull off. Next, we will have to lift up on a tab underneath. It is made of metal, and give it a turn to release your pressure switch and set it aside. To install our new pressure switch, this is the tab I was talking about that had to be lifted up. So what we'll do is we'll place it in. This little notch will go underneath the piece of metal in order for it to lock in as we're turning. It does have a small tab by a switch that will have to be pushed down in order to get it into place. After it's in place, give it a turn. And there, we locked it in place. We will reinstall the wiring harness, as well as reinstall our pressure tube. Now we will just drop this into place. Our pressure switch is on. Let's put back on the knob. It's on super, so that's good because we want it to continue to fill up. Now we will plug it back in, put it on light, let it fill up a little bit more and see if it activates agitation. what we're going to do at this point, because the fact that the tube has been taken off, I want to reset the pressure switch. So let's go ahead and put it on a drain and spin so that the proper amount of air can go back into the pressure tube as it's filling. Right now with water being in there already, it already pushed the air up. So we'll go ahead and we'll drain that water out, but this will also be a good time to get the water out. Maybe we can test and see if it will spin. And then we can refill it again to make sure that it's actually going to agitate. So now it's actually starting to spin. It would not spin previously, so this is good. So the first thing I'm going to do, now that we're to that point, I am going to pull off the pressure tube again, just to release any type of vacuum that could be in there. Released, we'll blow through it. Plug your pressure hose back in. Put it on small load and light. Fill it up, see if it will start to agitate. While this is filling, I'm going to go ahead and reinstall the screws on the top. Just manually advance it. Now it is agitating. You see the agitator turning inside. Next, we will reinstall the front panel. Push it on and wiggle it to get it in place. Smash it in. We'll go ahead and drain the water out, and this will complete your repair.